You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
All right, Tom, welcome to the show.
You bet.
Thanks for showing up here today. Yeah, absolutely. So we were chatting earlier. You are in Dallas, Texas. Is that right?
That's right.
Awesome. And tell our listeners something interesting about yourself, Tom.
Oh, wow. For most people, what's interesting is Zig Ziglar was my father. And, you know, you're probably never talked to a more blessed human being on the planet than me. I got to see things and do things and be, exposed to the top leaders in every industry. So what a great start.
You're not kidding. What a story your father has had, how much impact he's had. And it's awesome to keep talking about how there are so many that were impacted and continue to be obviously impacted by that. So tell us a little bit about Ziglar, Ziglar.com, exactly what kind of a company it is. Of course, I know, but I want our listeners to understand what it brings to the marketplace.
Well, we've been doing business for over 5 decades now, and I was just working on our 2020 vision and kind of a new mission statement. I'm a big believer as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that we grow, we expand, we change. You know, there's differences. So here's our new mission. Okay. Our mission at Ziglar is to encourage, transform, equip, and support you so that you can change the world through legacy building, coaching, speaking, and training.
I want to go back to that. Encourage, there was encourage, transform, encourage, transform, equip.
Right, and support.
Awesome. Well, I think that everybody needs all of those.
So we just passed 5 million fans on Facebook. Wow. And the number one reason people come is hope and encouragement. I mean, that's kind of the Ziglar brand. And then, and people are looking for transformation. We believe that, and we teach that you have every ingredient for success inside of you, every character quality. They just need to be recognized, claimed, developed, and used.
What do you think it is about? What do you think it is about today? Because I'm a self-help and self-development just junkie, and I love it. I probably can't come close to what the kind of content that you've come across in your day, but I wanted to find out exactly not exactly, but why do you think people are looking for transformation, Tom?
Dad tells a story of, this is the old days, right? So you're lost, you're on the road, you stop by the side of the road, you ask for directions, you write them down word for word, you follow the directions line by line, and you ended up 30 miles further away from where you were trying to go. And so the question is, whose fault was it? Well, it wasn't really your fault. You got bad directions. And that's the way people are in life right now, is they've had a ton of input, well-meaning people doing the best they can have given them bad directions. And so you end up in a place in life where you're like, wait a second, there's got to be more. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be, and you see other people who quote unquote are successful. And so that kind of creates this decision in your mind. Wait a second. Am I going to be a person who lets life happen to me, or am I going to happen to life? And so, man, personal growth to me is we own the choice to say there's something I can do to improve myself. And when you own that choice, you kind of move out of the I'm a victim, everything happens to me, into, man, I'm the author of my story, and I get to write the words.
Absolutely. I think that's having, if there's something we have control over, it's our life. And a lot of people I don't know, some may not believe that, but I think there's so much truth to be able to reverse engineer what you want. And I'm a big fan of building the life you want to live. And so I love to hear that. The transformation aspect is that there's a lot of uncertainty out there. It could be social media, it could be just the fact that they're kind of, some people are feeling lost. But give me a time when you feel that you're an entrepreneur and the business that you felt like you kind of had to overcome an objection, because we've got a lot of entrepreneurs that are listening, to avoid disaster. How did you do that?
I've had a lot of experience with that.
That means because you're a business owner.
Yeah. And, I've made bonehead decisions that have cost us lots of money. I write about it. But I'll just tell you one, kind of a transformation time in my life when I've been the CEO for 25 years,
Awesome.
but behind the scenes guy until 10 years ago. I mean, I never spoke. I never went out. I started speaking, and I used to have like this anxiety, this apprehension. I loved the afterwards, but the thoughts that would go through my head, and I had to ask myself, why am I putting so much pressure? Why is this so painful? And here's what the problem was. I thought people wanted me to be my dad on stage.
Right.
Right?
100%. Yep.
I mean, like maybe the greatest motivational speaker who ever stepped on the stage. And then I realized that was a wrong mindset. Nobody expected me to be Zig Ziglar on stage. What they expected me was to be the best version of myself, to be prepared, to have my own style. But where they wanted the congruence is they wanted me to have the same philosophy and the same values. Now that's different because I don't have to fake that. I've got that. But to be all motivation. So for me, for entrepreneurs, a lot of times we get overwhelmed with thinking, what does everybody else think I should do? Or I need to do it like so-and-so, especially in family-owned businesses where, the next generation's taken over. It's really hard to pass the baton because the founder usually has a strong personality and everybody's expected to kind of do what they do, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. It's wild out there. There's a lot of coaches and people that I speak with, a mindset recently on the podcast, that what we've noticed is that it's becoming a challenge to get people to be themselves, to be organic, right? Because they see so much of other things that they want to mimic, which is okay, right? And finding mentors and things like that to mimic those foundational values, like you mentioned, like your dad has created and been such a big speaker on different stages. But you're right, the expectation wasn't, let's see if it's just going to be the exact same thing, same delivery. But no, that isn't the expectation of people. Why do you think people think that? Why do you think that there's so much of a mindset in people's minds that they are supposed to be like somebody else?
Gosh, it's kind of, we buy a lie,
Sure. Yeah, there you go.
We buy the lie that says, hey, that's the only way, I got to do it like they did it. And then when you study, so the intellectual side says, well, what do all great leaders have in common? Well, I studied that. And here's an interesting thing. They come from all different personality styles, all different kinds of backgrounds. They've overcome all different kinds of things. But the one thing they have in common is they're aware of their weak spots.
Yeah.
Right? And so what they do is they focus on their strengths, and then they bring people around them who are excellent in their weak spots.
Life Nation, we're all striving towards different goals. Maybe your goal is to finally quit the 8 to 5 grind, quit your job, or take the next step with your existing business. Whatever the goal may be, regardless of your reasons, if you are serious about taking the next step and finally trying to build the life that you deserve, the life that you want to live, take the leap of faith. Go to michaellevis.com and let's discuss your goals and life. It's 100% free. There's no obligation. It's MIKEOLIVAS.com. Schedule a quick call. I'd love to help. That's absolutely right. I think that having self-reflection and knowing what you're not good at, and if you're out there listening, and not most entrepreneurs don't like to deal with spreadsheets, right? We get it. Like, right. No, that's not fun. And we're visionaries, and CEOs out there are visionaries. And we want to be able to look at things and focus on things like mission statements and reinventing a little bit of the mission and making it better. But yeah, just focusing on what you're not necessarily what you're best at, but I think that's a good point.
And it's institutionalized. My daughter's 25. When she was applying to college, she looked at the University of Ireland. She got accepted. And the reason that she wanted to go overseas is because their business program, they had 3 options. You could be in a finance or accounting major. You could be a big company, kind of traditional business major, or you could be an entrepreneur in small business. And the thing was, they only required 1 math class on the entrepreneur level.
I love that.
And in the U.S., to get a business degree, she had to take 3 levels of higher end math, right? And really, an entrepreneur, all they need to know is how to look at a spreadsheet and how to understand how to balance. Yep. And so our thinking is institutionalized. So immediately we think, well, I'm not gifted in that area, therefore I can't do that.
Yep.
No. You listen to the leaders who say, Focus on your strengths and bring people around you who are excellent at what you're not good at.
I really resonate with that personally. I was an international business major. Then I saw all the math and it freaked me out. You're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah.
Then I turned into a nutritional, like a dietetics major, because I love like the fitness aspect of it and everything. And I was playing sports in college and I thought that kind of fit together. And now I do international business, right? And so I graduated with something totally different, but you're absolutely right. I mean, once you're on the knowing the high level numbers and the P&Ls and that kind of jazz, you don't need to be a mathematician by any means. I think, fall in love with the numbers is definitely a good idea, but not on the intricate part, all the way from a micro level for sure. So tell us a little bit why do you think entrepreneurs out there, Tom, why do you think there's so many of them that have all these goals and aspirations to build a business and so many of them end up quitting?
There's a couple of things. And here's the big one. Okay. So somebody paints the dream. Oh man, you can be your own boss. You can run your own business. You can create an empire. You're working all this time for somebody else. And then they buy into it, okay? And so they jump in, and then a lot of times it's within weeks they've given up. And here's what the problem is. It's called cognitive dissonance. So this is what happens. Their current life is in chaos, okay? And so, but then they buy into this dream, which is really a higher standard. Oh, I could be this, right? They love it. And then their subconscious gets to work and they're like, hey, you're already failing where you are. And now you've got a higher standard. You're just going to be a bigger failure. And so guess what? It's easier to give up and settle for mediocrity than it is to live every day with being a bigger failure. And so one of the things that we teach, it's in all the recordings, you never give a promise without a plan. And so what happens is, and I have this view of business, okay, this is for small business owners. It's really, really simple. I want you to think of an archery target, okay? The center ring, the red, that's the owner. We got to get the owner right. If the owner's right, everything else is gonna flow from there. The second ring is systems. We got to create systems in our business. The outer ring is people development. So as we grow, we got to build systems and develop people. The dance is the outer ring of systems and the inner ring or the second ring of people. Those two are always flipping, right?
Yeah.
It's like we get our systems in place and our key guy leaves. And we're like, oh my gosh. So we bring somebody else in, the market changes, we need a new system. But none of it works until the owner is right. And that's mindset, that's attitude, that's character and integrity, discipline, hard work, attitude, belief. Those are the things that make the owner right. So why do people give up? The center ring is off.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to do the rest of it, so they don't have the plan, so they give up. That's where I love coaches, because coaches can come in and say, hey, you know what? We know you want to be there in 2 years. Let's just work for the next 90 days. And we'll start putting the plan in place. That's when hope really is born.
Absolutely. I think the game, I love that. Never give a promise without giving a plan. That's great advice, I think, out there. And for entrepreneurs that are listening, I think sometimes we're so stuck on revenue generating activities that we forget about, self-development and how I'm going to move forward as an owner to be the person, that centerpiece that you're talking about, that the others need you to be in order for them to jump on board with it, right? And that's really, leadership is 100% a big area and avenue of successful entrepreneurship. What are you excited about? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to give a quick quote. There's a quote that I use: "A tree's fruitfulness depends on its rootfulness."
Ooh, I like that.
And so here's the idea: picture the fruit that you want in your life, right? And that could be great relationships, a lot of money, a successful business. I mean, you just name the fruit. So what are the roots that you have to nourish to create the fruit? And we teach at Ziglar there's 7 roots. There's the mental, the spiritual, the physical, the family, the financial, and the career. So there's 7 roots. Well, if I want good relationships, I've got to nurture. I've got to be in good health. I've got to have a good mindset. I've got to have the right spiritual qualities. So I really need to nurture all of them. So here's the secret. What nourishes roots? Habits. And so what are the habits that I can create in my life that will nourish the root that creates the fruit? And that's really how easy or how complicated you want to make it. So there's a quote out there that says, I cannot determine my future, but I can determine my habits, and my habits will determine my future.
That's right. 100%.
Entrepreneurs, they start the business because they're trying to get out of pain, and they've never clarified the fruit they really want. So let's envision the fruit, and then let's work backwards to nurture the habits in the root that creates the fruit. That's
great advice. Tell us what you're excited about with Ziglar Inc. right now.
Well, we've got, at Ziglar, we talked about, we help people with legacy building, coaching, speaking, and training. And in our coaching system, our Choose to Win coaching system, one of the things that we provide is support. And this is what we mean by that. When somebody comes into our system and they get a prospect, we actually get on the phone with them and help them enroll that person into coaching for them. So we're actually helping those in our system to close business, and they get all the credit for it. And it's we've been doing coaching a long time, and all about it. That's the big hurdle. It isn't that somebody's not the right person, or they don't have a program, or they can't be effective. It's just that when somebody says, "Hey, can you coach me?" they get mind lock, and they're like, "What do I charge? And how do I enroll? And what's value?" Right? And so we actually are walking people all the way through that process. So
that's awesome. So creating a message to spread a good message. I love that.
Right. And that's legacy for us, right?
Yeah,
because
that's right.
If we equip you with the Ziglar material and you go to your community and change lives, that's legacy.
That's absolutely right. That's awesome. You guys are building based off some awesome data, I'm sure that you already have. How many coaches do you have out there, by the way?
We just launched the Choose to Win coaching system at the end of last year, and we've got 20 in that. And then in our certification program, we have over 100 coaches through our ZLC. So
awesome.
We've been doing that, and we grow, and we're not trying to inundate the market, because we do small classes on everything. So
good.
15 to 20 people in a class is what we like to do.
Absolutely. Bigger impact, I think, in that world when it comes down to what you're able to impact on those specific coaches, in terms of how you're currently, your life currently in your business, Tom, and how you've built it. You've gone through a lot of struggles and figuring out what you personally want to. How have you been able to build the life that you want to live, Tom?
Well, let me just say this. There's really three things that I love doing. I love writing, I love speaking, I love training, actually 4. And I do some coaching, but I don't have time for a lot.
Sure.
So I love that. So what kills me? It's the day-to-day. It's the inbox. It's going and training for 3 days in a row and getting filled up, and then having the work pile up on the other side.
Yeah.
And so what we've done here is we've systemized, and I've got people. That's why I said at the very beginning, leaders understand their gifts and their weak spots, and they bring people around them to augment the weak spot. And so the way I've gotten the freedom to do the things I love is to bring people in who do the other things well. And that's really the secret in whatever you want to do.
That's right. You kind of stick to what you do best, and we find others that do what they do best, and you integrate those systems. I think systems, I can't stress enough how important that is for a growing business to have, because without that, and I think you're not able to develop the people after that, right? Because that was the next, I think, list or on your list. So final question here. Out of all your successes and failures in your business, what is the one piece of pardon advice you'd give to aspiring and current entrepreneurs out there listening?
It's the number one lesson I learned from my father, and that is you choose your input.
I love that.
You get very, very selective on what you listen to, what you read, who you associate with, who you hang out with. And you ask yourself the question, is what I'm reading, listening to, watching, doing right now, is it taking me closer to or further from my goals, my dreams, my aspirations? And here's why. What we listen to, it then becomes what we think about.
That's absolutely right.
Right. And what we think about then determines who we become, the values that we have. And then that drives our actions and our output. And our output and our actions, that's where the results come. And so it's real simple. Just picture who you want to become, maybe find somebody who's already there and identify what it is they did to get there. And it's always in the mind. You know, it always starts with what they thought about, the things they put in, what they choose to believe,
That's
and then
right.
the actions follow.
That's right, guys. If you're listening, you're starting your day by listening to the news. So you're listening to, you're starting your day by listening to murder, rape, and traffic. Like, what are we doing? Like, what you get to choose what you listen to. And it's the absolute truth. And I guarantee you it's going to be the same kind of news daily. Right. And I think it really is. And someone's going to tell you that's been listening to it anyways at some point, or you're going to see it pop up on some news flash on an app that you might be looking at. And so I think that's really important because there's so many different areas of avenues of revenue now and mediums of media that you're going to see that what are you listening to? You get to choose that and who you hang out with. I think that's great advice. I really want to thank you for your time and obviously what you're doing in the industry out there. And I look forward to hearing more about these the new coaching prospect that you guys have out there.
You bet. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Liebus, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.